I talked to a friend of mine recently about unfavorable situation in her life, and I tried to explain in the line with the law of attraction that she should find something positive in the whole story and focus all her attention on the positive thing so that things start developing in that direction. Namely, if her response is positive, then she should expect that something positive will happen in the near future. And after she left, I remember the story about the old guy. The story was actually written by Hans Christian Andersen, and I didn't know that. I actually know the story because each time my mom would criticize my father when he would do something wrong, he would only say, "What the old man does is always right." And naturally, one day I asked my father to tell me the story, which he did. I will not comment and make comparison. Why did I actually mention this story? But I will read it to you first, and then I will tell you why I mentioned the story.
Hello and welcome to Nice Surprise Tarot. Hugs and warm greetings from your hostess, Lady G.
I'm going to tell you a story now, which I heard when I was little. And every time I have thought of it since, it has seemed to me to become nicer. For it is with stories, as with many people, they grow nicer and nicer as they grow older. And that is very pleasant. Of course, you have been out in the country. You have seen a good old cottage with a thatched roof. Moss and weeds grow on it of themselves. There's a stork's nest on the roof ridge. You can't do without stork. The walls are crooked and the windows low. There's in fact only one of them that will open. The oven sticks out like a little fat stomach, and an elder bush hangs down over the fence to where there's a little pond with a duck or ducklings just underneath the gnarled willow tree. Yes, and there's a dog on a chain too that barks at everybody. Just such a cottage there was out in the country, and in it lived two people, a countryman and his wife. Little as they possessed, they could manage to do without one article, to wit a horse, which used to go and graze in the ditch beside the high road. Father used to ride it to the town. The neighbors would borrow it, and he would get one service in exchange for another. Still, it would pay them better to sell the horse or exchange it for something or another that would be of even more use to them. But what should that be? That you'll understand better than me, old man, said his wife. It's market day in town. Just you ride there and get the price of the horse or make some other good bargain. What you do is always right. Off with you to the market. So she tied his necktie, for that at least she understood better than he did. She tied it with a double bow, which looked very smart, and then she brushed his head with the flat of her hand and kissed him on his warm mouth, and then off he rode on the horse that was to be sold or exchanged. there were no clouds. The road was dusty. There were so many market people on it in carts or on horseback or on their own legs. It was very hot, and the road had no shade whatever. Someone came along driving a cow, which was as nice a cow as can be. I'm sure she'd give beautiful milk, thought the countryman. It would be a good bargain together. Look here, you with the cow, he said. Shall we have a word together? A horse, I suppose, is worth more than a cow. But that doesn't matter. I should make more out of the cow. Shall we swap? Yes, to be sure, said the man with the cow. So they swapped. Now that was done, and the countryman might have turned back, for he'd done what he wanted. But as he'd made up his mind to go to market he would go, if only to look at it. So on he went with his cow. He got along briskly, and the cow did too. So very soon he came abreast of a man who was leading a sheep. A fine sheep it was, in good condition, and with a good fleece. I'd like to own that one, thought the countryman. It wouldn't want for grazing on our bit of ditch, and in winter one could take it indoors. After all, it'd be more the thing for us to keep a sheep than a cow. Shall we swap? Yes, the man who had the sheep was quite willing, so that bargain was made, and the countryman went with his sheep along the high road. By the stile he saw a man with a big goose under his arm. That's a heavy chap you've got here, said the countryman. He's got fat and feathers too. He looked well tethered out by our pond, and be something for mother to save scraps for. She's often said, if only we had a goose. And now she can have one, and she shall have one. Will you swap? I'll give you the sheep for the goose, and thank you too. Yes, the other was quite agreeable, so they swapped, and the countryman got the goose. He was by this time close to the town, and the crowd on the road grew and grew. There was a swarm of people and cattle. They were on the road and in the ditch, right up among the turnpike man's potatoes, where his hen was tethered so that she mightn't run off in her fright and be lost. She was a short-tailed hen who winked with one eye and looked very nice. Cluck, cluck, said she. What she was thinking about, I'm unable to say, but the countryman, when he saw her, thought, she's the prettiest hen I've ever seen. Prettier than Parson's brood hen. I'd like to own her. A hen can always pack up grain. She can pretty near keep herself. I think it would be a good bargain if I got her instead of the goose. Shall we swap? He asked. Swap, said the other. Yes, that's not a bad idea. So they swapped. The turnpike man got the goose and the countryman the hen. A lot of business he had got through on the way to the town, and it was hot, and he was tired. He sorely wanted a dram and a close to the inn, and there he meant to go in. But the ostler was coming out and met him in the doorway, carrying a sack chock full of something. "What have you got there?" asked the countryman. "Rotten apples," said the man. "A whole sack full for the pigs." "There's a terrible lot there. I'd like Mother to see that. Last year we hadn't but one apple on the old tree by the peat house. That apple had to be taken care of, and it lay on the chest of drawers till it burst. That's property anyhow," says Mother, "but here she could see property if you like. I'd like to make her a present of that." "Well, what'll you give me?" said the man. "Give? I'll give you my hen for it." So he gave his hen in exchange, took the apples, and went into the inn room, straight up to the bar. His sack of apples he leaned up against the stove, not thinking about what was in it. There were a lot of strangers in the room, horse dealers, cattle dealers, and also 2 Englishmen. And they're so rich, their pockets are bursting with sovereigns, and they make bets, as now you shall hear. Tss. What noise was that by the stove? The apples were beginning to roast. "What is it?" Why, they found out very quickly. The whole story of the horse that was swapped for a cow, and all the rest, right down to the rotten apples. You'll get a smacking from Mother when you get home," said the Englishman. "There'll be the devil of a row. I shall get a kiss and no smack," said the countryman. "Mother will say what the old man does is always right." "Will you bet on it?" Coin gold by the bushel, 100 pound to the ton. "A bushel full will do," said the countryman. "I can only bet a bushel full of apples, and me and Mother on the top. But that's more than strike measure. That's top measure." "Done, done," said they, and the bet was made. Out came the landlord's cart. The Englishman got in, the countryman got in, the rotten apples got in, and off they went to the countryman's house. "Good evening, Mother." "Thanks, Father. I've made my bargain." "Yes, you know how to do that," said his wife, giving him a hug and forgetting all about the sack and the strangers. "I swapped the horse for a cow." "Thank God for the milk," said his wife. "Now we can have milk to cook with, and butter and cheese on the table. That was a splendid swap." "Yes, but I swapped off the cow for a sheep." "That's even better for certain," said his wife. "You're always so thoughtful. We've got just a plenty of grazing for a sheep. Now we can have sheep's milk and sheep milk cheese and woolen stockings. Yes, and wool nightgowns too. A cow wouldn't give us that. Why, she only drops her hair. You really are a man to take thought." "But I swapped off the sheep for a goose." "Then shall we really have a Michaelmas goose this year?" "Dear old man, you're always thinking of something to please me. It really is a nice idea of yours. The goose can be on a tether and get ever so fat by Michaelmas. But I swapped off the goose for a hen, said the husband. A hen! That was a good swap, said his wife. A hen will lay eggs and hatch 'em out, and we shall have chickens and a regular poultry yard. That's just what I've been longing for with all my heart. Yes, but I swapped off the hen for a sack of rotten apples. Now I really must give you a kiss, said his wife. Thank you, my own dear husband. Now I'll just tell you something. When you'd gone off, I thought about getting you a real nice super omelette and chives. Eggs I'd got, chives I hadn't. So I went across to Schoolmaster's. They'd got some chives there, I know, but the wife's a stingy woman, a pretty dear. I asked her to lend me. Lend? Said she. Nothing whatever grows in our garden, not so much as a rotten apple. I couldn't lend you even that. Now I can lend her 10. I can lend her a whole sackful. That's a good joke, Father. And with that she kissed him right in the middle of the forehead. That's what I like, said the Englishman, always going downhill and always as pleased as ever. That's worth all the money, that is. So they paid over a ton of gold sovereigns to the countryman who got a kiss and not a thrashing. Yes, it always pays for the wife to see and to tell other people that the old man is wisest and what he does is right. So, there's a story for you. I heard it when I was little, and now you've heard it too. And you know that what the old man does is always right. Yes, and that's the way my father tried to get out whenever he did something silly. What the old man does is always right, of course. And let's go back to the story about my friend and the way she should look at things. So, in case you forget, you should look at things the way this lady does. Not because she's old and wise, but because nowadays we all have heard about the law of attraction. And we all know that if we see something good in midst of many bad things, the good thing will prevail, and vice versa. If there are so many nice things and one thing bad, if we focus on the bad thing will happen in the future. So that's how you can explain to anyone who wants to know how they should behave. And let me remind you, that doesn't mean that you should play dumb or stick your head in the ground or, I don't know, put a false smile on your face and say, oh, it's lovely, it's nice, I'm happy. No, I don't mean that. I mean really, honestly find what is good in the situation. And let me remind you, there must be something positive. There must be something good. We all know yin yang. In everything good there is a trace of bad and vice versa. So pick up the good stuff, focus on the good stuff, and you will have a good life. I love you. Mwah. What else to say? Thank you again for being with us. Thank you for being with Nice Surprise Tarot. Thank you for being my friends, for supporting me, for being with me. And I hope to see you or hear you soon. Bye bye. Ciao.